what's up guys, this is Jacob. I'm back with a review for the iPad Pro 12.9 inch. So one of the things about the iPad Pro is it's a really big iPad, and that is really kind of the summary of my entire review. I'm going to get into more stuff here, but what you should go into this expecting is a really large iPad. It is not by any means going to be the device that replaces your MacBook Pro or makes you feel like you should have a tablet over a full laptop. So without further ado, here we go. So one of the first things I'm going to get into here is the build quality of the device. If you're familiar with iPads, especially iPads that have come out in the past, the build quality is very familiar here. It's still made from a single slab of aluminum. It still has that signature Apple build quality that you're used to. So if you've had an iPad, an iPhone, a Mac, anything in the past, you're really going to get the same kind of thing here. It looks like an Apple product, but it's much larger. And because it's much larger, it feels a little bit more like you might could break it, but it's still fairly sturdy from what I can tell. So the build quality is good. It's an iPad, and that continues on. It's an iPad kind of theme here continues throughout the rest of this review. The same thing comes with apps. If you use an iPad Air, you use an iPad Mini, anything like that, you're going to get the same kind of thing here. So if you're expecting the iPad Pro to, I don't know, wow you with the apps, for there to be a lot of Pro apps here, you're going to be kind of disappointed. There are no Pro apps for the iPad Pro. It seems kind of oxymoronic that you don't have any of this stuff. Everything is generally going to be a blown up iPad Air 2, or it's going to be a blown up iPad app from another device, whether it's the iPad Mini or the iPad Air. There's not a lot of apps that are specifically designed for the iPad Pro, and that is a problem. You're not really getting the utility from the extra screen. You have this big screen and everything's just kind of stretched out. Everything's just kind of stretched out to fit that screen. You really don't get any benefits from the extra real estate. The grid, the app layout is exactly as it always has been. You're going to get 5x4 if you've got it in landscape, and 4x5 if you've got it in portrait. So there are just large gaps where there's not anything happening on the home screen, which is a problem. You can multitask finally with the iPad Pro. However, you can only do 2 apps at a time, and not every app is supported, so sometimes you'll be trying to swipe in an extra window and you cannot do it, which is also a problem. The device that I had was the 128 gigabyte Wi-Fi only model in space gray, and I got a little bit cheaper than its Apple's asking price, but if you're going into it, you just go to the Apple store, you're just going to Best Buy somewhere, and you're not really looking for a sale or an open box or anything like that, you're going to spend $949 for just the tablet itself. You can get an iPad Air for cheaper than that, start at $899, and you're running full OS X. That is a problem. This device is very expensive for what it is, a large iPad Air, or the iPad Pro 9.7. It's just a bigger version of that. So, like I was talking about, the apps are the same way. Everything is just kind of stretched to meet that that screen real estate. You go into certain apps that are not designed for the iPad Pro, and you'll just get gigantic, goofy-looking keyboards that are stretched out from the 9.7-inch iPad all the way up to the 12.9-inch. And some of them even looks like it's from an iPad Mini, an app designed for the Mini that's been stretched all the way up to the iPad Pro. So you get a keyboard that is just, you know, it's got keys the size that are about an inch long and an inch tall each way, so it looks kind of ridiculous. The iPad Pro itself has a really nice software keyboard, which, because of the size of the iPad itself, you're going to get a full QWERTY keyboard with all the function keys and all that kind of good stuff. It's a nice keyboard when you're using the on-screen keyboard. So when it comes to utility, the iPad Pro really doesn't get a lot of extra utility over an iPad Air or an iPad Mini because the screen isn't really utilized in an effective way. The only way the screen really is utilized in an effective way is when it comes to the Apple Pencil. Now, the Apple Pencil is an extra $100 accessory, and it's a stylus, and I'm sure if anyone with an iOS device has heard Steve Jobs' famous thing saying people don't want to use a stylus, they have one. It's called their finger. However, Apple has created an amazing stylus. It has virtually no drag whatsoever. It is pressure sensitive, which means you can draw different kind of lines based on the pressure that you apply to the iPad screen. You can turn the Apple Pencil sideways and you can get a wider brush stroke. So it is one of the best stylus, if not the best stylus I've ever used. I would love to have had this when I was in school. I am by no means an artist, so the artistic I guess, potential of this device really is lost on me. I can see how you would use this device to create drawings, paintings, all that kind of stuff. And if you were talented enough, which I am not, you would have a lot of cool stuff that you could do. But because the iPad has these qualities, an artist or a student may really find that it's useful. However, if you're really into the media creation, whether or not it's making videos, it's doing a lot of word processing, it's doing a lot of things that require more tabs open. The iPad can only do one thing at a time, with the exception of the split screen mode. However, when it comes to the split screen mode, there are not a lot of apps that are supported. You can't edit a movie in iMovie while also looking at a Word document. You can't have two Word documents open at the same time. You can't do a lot of things, and that's really the problem here with the iPad Pro. There's so much you cannot do, and with the price, if you get the 32 gig model, you get the keyboard, the Apple Smart Keyboard for $170, and then you get the Apple Pencil. You're looking at $1,000 for a device that cannot do as much as the same price MacBook would do for you, where you can get an iPad Air at $899. You're going to have a lot more powerful device, one that can handle a lot more multitasking. The main issue that I was running into is I'm trying to create YouTube content, and I wanted the touchscreen so I could use the Apple Pencil to edit, to fine-tune edit. I thought that would be a lot more intuitive and easier to use, and it was. I really enjoyed the way the Apple Pencil integrated with both Pinnacle and iMovie. I was able to select clips, fine-tune edit, all that kind of stuff. It was really handy. The thing that I kind of ran into when it came to actually creating the media, finishing up, is there's no way to get any kind of music onto the device that's not straight from iTunes without utilizing another device, like a Mac or PC. There's no way to use any of YouTube's editing tools because the iPad still does not support Flash. You cannot multitask when you're editing a movie, so I couldn't look at a script, make sure I was following along the script that I wanted to follow along while also editing the movie and keeping the clips in the same kind of order that I needed them in. So because of all those limitations, it really doesn't work as a media creation device. You can use it for that, but there are some severe limitations, like I've just kind of outlined. When it comes to media consumption, the iPad is still king. It is fantastic for watching YouTube, Netflix, anything like that. It's still great for surfing the web. That big 12.9-inch screen is just amazing. The iPad Pro also got upgraded with 4 stereo speakers, and because of that, you don't have the same issue you had with the iPad Air 2, where you've got sound coming out of one end. You gotta kind of cup your hand to one side to get the sound to come towards you. It's got resonance chambers behind those speakers, which means you get a large sound from this small iPad. And small as in thickness, not as in size, because it's gigantic. It's the biggest iPad they've ever made. It's huge. So laying in bed, trying to use it as a media consumption device can be kind of difficult because you're going to drop a 12.9-inch screen on your face most likely. As anyone who's been in their bed on the phone, on a tablet, it happens. And so you're going to drop a giant screen on your face. And that's not comfortable. But when it comes to media consumption, the iPad is great. You know what you're getting into when it comes to media consumption with the iPad Pro. It's just like it was with the iPad Air, with the iPad Mini, but it's better. But Apple is touting the iPad Pro as a PC replacement. You can use it, for Windows computer. You can use it, in place of a Mac. But that's really not the case. There are still those limitations. There's no file manager. There's just a lot of things that, unfortunately, keep this from being the PC replacement it's kind of touted to be. I really feel that if Apple releases maybe a combination, kind of a Frankenstein version of iOS with OS X, something that like a touchscreen capable version of OS X that's really tailored for the iPad Pro, it'll be a lot better in the future. But right now, it is just a big iPad Air that costs as much as a Mac, and unfortunately, that is not something that you really need if you're looking for a PC or a Mac, which is what the iPad Air is trying to be. I'm sorry, the iPad Pro is trying to be. And because of that, I cannot recommend it. If you're going into this and you just want a giant screen to watch movies on, to watch YouTube videos, to surf the internet, then I think you probably should go with the iPad Air 9, or the iPad Air, or the iPad Pro 9.7. I really cannot recommend the iPad Pro 12.9 for its price point. It's just a media consumption device. I returned it. I don't have it anymore. I went ahead and got myself a MacBook Pro. I really wanted a touchscreen, but I felt like I needed to sacrifice that touchscreen for the added capabilities that a MacBook Pro would give you. Such as a file manager, the ability to fully multitask, the ability to just do so many things that the iPad Pro still cannot do, even though it's touted as this kind of PC replacement device.